I may have to get my sat nav out in a sec. I'm not entirely sure which way to go. Unleash the faffery. What did we do before these things came into service? Is this going to work? Talk to me, love. I don't know. Whatever. Won't be able to see where I'm going, but hopefully that lovely little young lady on the sat nav is going to tell me where to go. Cheeky devil. Oh, cock, look, now I've turned it off. Super Adventure 1290. S or R? S. Not exactly sure what the difference is, but we'll find out. Throw a leg over. If I can get it over. Shit. My leathers are still new. Keyless ride. Ready to race. I'm ready. Let's go sweetness. Oh, sounds peachy. The typical 1290 raw. Adventure bikes are not really my scene, but I always wanted to get out on this. And last year, you know, this was in question, this bike and the GT. So I ended up buying the GT, but didn't get out on this one. Yeah, so what's his pack in? I think it's 160 brake horsepower, this monster. So certainly no slouch. And I think it's probably the most powerful in the adventure bike range. The Triumph Tiger hasn't got as much as this, and the GS definitely doesn't. So I'm pretty sure this is the most powerful powerful adventure bike. Could be wrong, but pretty sure it is. And it's got, you know, all the usual bells and whistles that these top of the range adventure bikes have. You know, different riding modes, traction control, ABS, but all different modes, especially on this bike, is same as mine. You can change the ABS on and off, but it's also got two other ABS modes, so you can turn the ABS off on the rear wheel. Oh, she's silky smooth in the corners. Yeah, so you've got that much more sort of adjustability, level of adjustability on the KTMs. You know, turning the ABS off on the rear wheel on an adventure bike, that's probably a must if you want to go off-road. You'll have a lot more fun spinning the rear up. And the same sort of a thing on traction control, you can turn it on and off, and as most bikes can. I don't exactly know what modes it's got. I think it's Sport, Street, Rain, and this has probably got an off-road mode on it. I've only just literally got on it, so could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure there's an off-road mode on there. Yeah, the usual other stuff, cruise control, heated grips, all the good stuff. Clutch is butter smooth, it's much smoother than mine, although mine's a hydraulic clutch. This is, does this have a down bliffer? Yes. Yes, very, very nice actually. Quick shift is a bit smoother on this than mine. Oh, I don't want to ride in that. But this is such an armchair, massive bike though, massive road presence on this, massively wide bars. You just feel at ease on a bike like this. I do like a massive, but I do like a big bike. Gives you massive, I like saying massive, gives you great road presence on a big bike. I feel a lot safer on bikes like these. Mirrors excellent, they're much higher, a bit nearer to me, but it's just a turn of the eyeballs and not of the head. So great mirror position. Screen is brilliant, but that's because it's like a triple glazed window. Look at the size of it. Adjustable looks like on these two knobs here, like a good knob. So what else could we say about this bike while we're sat here waiting for a train? Seat is very comfortable. It's a very tall bike, but I'm 6'2", I'm a 34 inseam, and I can flat foot the bike. So yeah, for you smaller folk about, you know, you would have a bit of an issue. depends how tall you are, but I'd imagine you can get lowered versions of this, but don't quote me on that. Yeah, massive great handguard, so that's good for wind and rain protection. I'm not entirely sure how big the tank is on this. I'll put that on screen. There we got on there, trip 1 odometer, oil temperature, fuel range there, all the good stuff. Tells you here what ride mode we're in. So we're in street mode with street damping. ABS is set on road and traction control is on. Got a nice gear selector in the top right hand corner there. And there, I think is that heated seat? Shit, the bed. And we've got there a symbol that tells you that it's just one passenger, so nobody on the back. So it tells you everything you need to know on screen. So let's find a nice spot to pull over and have a bit of a look round. So there she is. Awesome looking bike. Forgot to mention it's semi-active WP suspension, same as on the Super Duke. So for those of you that are not familiar, you can adjust a bike like this on the fly with regards to load or preload and damping, but with semi-active suspension it adjusts to the millisecond while you're actually riding along to keep you to keep everything nice and smooth with regards to preload and rebound. So that gives you that extra bit of comfort. But you know, to be honest, semi-active suspension is great, but is it necessary? Not really. And for me personally, I can't tell the difference when I'm riding between a semi-active suspension system to a normal setup. Exhaust, wow, that is massive. Sounds nice, but look at the size of it, man. Plenty of luggage you can get on this, so you can get the top box and panniers on there. But this is brand new, this thing. This has only got 470 k's on it, so they've told me not to wring its neck. So let's have a quick look at the menu system. So keyless rides, keys in my pocket, so you just have to press the ignition on. Ready to race. Let's just have a quick dive through. Yeah, so heated seat, you can put that on and off. Am I close enough here? So that is your if you've got a pillion and passenger, or pillion, so a rider and pillion, or rider with luggage, and you've got rider, pillion and luggage there. So that's the same on a lot of bikes. That is your dampening, which we just looked into. Riding modes, so we've got sport, street, rain and off-road, so I was correct on that one. Traction control, that's just an on and off thing. That is the same on most bikes nowadays. ABS, so you've got road, off-road ABS. So off-road, that will turn off the ABS on the rear wheel, so you can spin it up in the dirt, or you can turn it off. HHC, what the hell's that? No idea what that is. Is that engine braking stuff? No idea what that is. I'll find out. I'll put it on screen. Settings, let's have a quick look in there, so you can set some favourites in there. It's the same with this bike. Whatever you do, if you turn the traction control off while you're riding, or you can't do it on the fly actually, as soon as you turn the bike off and turn it back on, the traction controls automatically turn back on. I think KTM have done that. I said that on the previous video, so you don't forget that you've turned it off, and you physically have to turn it off so you know that you've turned it off, because you know bikes will wheelie without it on. Daytime running lights on and off. Quick shifter, what's that? Turn the quick shifter on and off. Heated seat for the driver, heated seat for the passenger. But what's that? That is cornering lights. So that's pretty much the menu system. But yeah, I love the screen, really nice. It's not much different to mine. The menu structure, obviously TFT display, very nice. So let's jump back on her and have some fun. Now with regards to the rivals for this bike, you know, this would be sort of in the same league as the BMW GS and the Triumph Tiger 1200. I've ridden both of those bikes, the GS and the Triumph, although I haven't been on the new one yet, which I will probably look to get onto, because that's had some major updates, so that's supposed to be pretty good. But I rode the old Explorer, and to be honest, I liked the GS over over the Triumph Explorer. But you know, first impressions on this, you know, I mean, I think KTM is just such a cool brand. You know, it looks cool, it sounds good, you know, and it's got much more power over the other two. So, you know, I mean, that is pushing the boat out there. I've only just got it, I've only been on it 10 minutes, but, and now having owned the KTM Super Duke GT, and just that 1290 motor, the 1300 V-twin, if I was to buy an adventure bike, you know, these were the three that would come into question, and to be honest, I'd rather have this. Oh, it's so butter smooth in the corners, really well balanced, effortless in the bends, really like it. So I got this for 2 days now, so I'm going to bug around on this as much as I can and really get to know it. So maybe when I ride tomorrow I'll have been on it for longer, maybe I can add on to the end of this video, tell you a bit more about it, tell you what I think about it. But for now, just going to crank it, baby. Shit! That is mental. Yes, an adventure bike should not be that fast. Fucking hell. That is ridiculous. But just from ringing it there, this bike is so much more quicker than the definitely the GS. As I said, I've not been on the new Explorer. They've updated it, made it lighter, bit more power, bit more torque, so that might be sort of fairly rapid. But this is bonkers. It just shouldn't be this fast for this sort of bike. Crank her over. Jesus Christ. It shouldn't be possible. Well, welcome back to day 2 on this nice machine. Many hours and kilometers later. I was riding it yesterday for a couple hours, and yeah, very impressed with it, I would have said. A few things I did forget to mention yesterday. I have sort of looked into a couple of things online last night, as I'm a bit of a KTM newbie. The difference between the Super Duke S and the Super Duke R I thought was sort of spec, but I was wrong. The Super Adventure, sorry, S and R. The Super Adventure S, which is what we're on now, is the road oriented or road based model, and the Super Adventure R is the off-road model, which I didn't know. So there's only a few different things. You get a bit more crash protection on the R. It's got bespoke wheels, 21-inch front wheel, so a bit more sort of off-road orientated. But I thought it was to do with spec, but how wrong was I? But to be honest, this is the biggest bike that I've rode that's so flickable. I mean, I've been on the GSA, which is enormous, but this thing is, you know, it's so agile for such a massive bike, and all that power it's got. Absolute bonkers. You know, I know I'm slightly biased now to KTM because I've just bought one a few weeks ago, but they're amazing bikes. I mean, to be honest, nowadays all modern bikes, I don't think there's any shit bikes, you know, out there. Modern new bikes. Multistrada, that's not a shit one either. I may have to get my sat nav out in a sec. I'm not entirely sure which way to go. Unleash the faffery. What did we do before these things came into service? Is this going to work? Talk to me, love. I don't know. Whatever. Won't be able to see where I'm going, but hopefully that lovely little young lady on the sat nav is going to tell me where to go. Cheeky devil. Another thing I didn't mention yesterday, self-cancelling indicators on this bike. Actually, I have that on my bike, which is always nice. Oh god, kickstand not all the way up. Tells you actually what's wrong with it. That's pretty good. Oh cocklet, now I've turned it off. Back to the issue in hand. Amazing bike, pucker bike, like it. It's not really my sort of thing. You know, I don't know if I mean, it would be beautiful if money wasn't an option to have one of these and a GT in the garage. Are we going right here? Talk to me, love. Talk to me, you silly boot. Yeah, so I think if I was in the market for an adventure bike, then the three bikes that I would consider would be the GS, the Triumph Explorer, or the Triumph 1200 they call it now, and this. And to be honest, you know, this is an honest opinion, not because I own a Ducati, not because I own a KTM now. If I was considering an adventure bike out of those three, then it would be this one. It's just a much, I don't know, it's an easier ride, it's got the power, it's got the looks, you know, it's got everything that you need. And this bike here, the Adventure S, is at my dealership, brand new 2018 model, for 17,395 I think. And you cannot get a GS with this amount of equipment on it for that price. Now I don't know if you can, there are a couple of optional added extras that KTM offer, but the majority of the bells and whistles comes as standard on these KTMs. So, you know, a standard GS with absolutely nothing on it costs around 16,500 euros. So, but by the time you've put a touring package on it, by the time you've put the dynamic package on it, so you get the quick shifter, added a TFT display, you have to add all these things on. So a fully loaded GS, you're knocking on the door of 21 to 22,000 euros for that bike. So this is a few thousand euros cheaper. And I know the Triumph Explorer, again, the Explorer, not the 1200, not the Explorer, the 1200, I keep forgetting. The 1200 comes in something like 6 different models. I think 3 road-based models and 3 off-road-based models. All depends on different specs. So a top of the range Triumph, I think is it the XRT or the XRC, can't remember, but you're knocking on the 20,000 euro mark as well. So this bike is so much more cheaper, and I think it's the best bike. It's the easiest bike to ride, it's the most nimble, it's got the most power. This is the most powerful adventure bike on the market. I did check, there is nothing else on there. And I know people compare these adventure bikes. So can you compare it to the Multistrada? Can you compare it to the XR? Or people even asked me, can you do a video to this and the GT? You can't compare them. You know, they're sports tourers, but they're just comfortable sports bikes. So you can't compare any of them 3 bikes, the GS, the Explorer, or the 1200 and this, to a sports tourer. You just can't do it. They're completely different bikes. Well, there you go, folks. That was my sort of 5 pence worth on this wonderful machine. Hopefully that's been of interest to you. Here I am at Motorrad Bolter. This is my local dealership, KTM and Honda. So if you're ever in the area around Osnabrück way, great roads to ride around here, especially my German viewers among you. Then come down here and throw a leg over a few bikes. So, catch you next time.